What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Tapped In, where we are talking about life and, the frequencies and where we're at and just change all around. So excited to be here today. I am your host, Moni.
And I'm your other host, Mariah. And we are so excited to have you guys here, Tapped In. We are going down this spiritual journey. We are on a journey all together. Tap in with us every week to see what we're healing.
Yes, and today's episode consists of codependency. Yep, we're getting into the nit and grit. The true definition of codependency is excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support on account of illness or addiction.
Addiction. Ooh, I feel that.
So what does codependency mean for you?
Let's see, what does codependency mean to me? Say codependency for me, it's like basically like you just can't be happy in your own energy. That's my definition of it. And it could be with lovers, friends, even your kids. Some people are codependent on their kids. Like it could be anything. Some people are codependent on their pet. I've seen extreme people be like, I can't go anywhere without my pet.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think codependency really is like you can't be like at peace in your own energy for longer than a day. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
I will say for me, I feel like, I think it goes back to our last episode on this sense, like even as therapists, which I'm not a therapist, but to some people I'm a therapist, okay? They just ain't paying me. But
we got to change that. We got to get paid for this energy. It costs dollars.
We got to get paid for this. For me, it's more or less, just relying too much on something. The way I can relate to it is, I guess the best way I can say I relate to it was my last relationship. I have two versions of it. I have a negative and then I have a positive, So I'm gonna just say what the negative one was, which was my marriage, the one I'm divorced from. It was so hard because I think we were so toxic to each other that we depended on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was so hard because it's like I wanted to save this person so badly. And not just for me as a partner. I wanted to save him because he's the father of my child too, Mm-hmm. And I think we think about what our child has to go through with this person. Yes. What are they truly going to go through when you're not around? But, there's still part of me that's like, you need to heal, bro. But I was so codependent on him for a good minute because I feel like when I did hit my first rude awakening, the year 2018 was a hard year. My daughter was born, and then months later, my dad passed away, and not in the traditional way, like at all. Like the way he passed away was so traumatic, which I'll get into that on another episode. It was so hard to kind of find myself. I depended on him so much so that, but when I reflect back, I really just depended on our toxicity because what I just said sounded like rainbows and sunshines, right? You want a partner that's going to be there for you.
Yeah.
It turned out to be harsh because he used that against me. And I think when we first met, we needed each other. I hear all the time, everyone, all my friends and family, and oh my God, I don't know why you got with him and da-da-da. But the thing was, where I was at a low, and I'll admit it, I was at a low frequency,
Mm-hmm.
And we really needed each other because so was he. He was in a rough situation. So when we came together, it was like we needed one another. And we were hoping that it was going to be forever. Hell, that's why we got married, Yeah. But it wasn't. And we were codependent on each other, even through our traumas, the trauma we created with one another. It was so hard. I let it go for a moment. And I handed him the keys and I'm like, here, you take over. And so for a minute, I was just depending on him, but he didn't know how to handle it because he depended on me the same way. We were brought together in a tough situation, and it's just gotten tough. I only wanted the best for both of us. Oh, and still to this day, like, I have no harsh feelings. I know whatever energy I put into him, like, I got that back in the form of my daughter, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I just hope he gets to the point where he can be what my daughter needs, and that's just it. Like, that's all. Our marriage is done. Everything's done. And that's it. But, I did depend on him for a while, and to the point where I lost myself in the process. Oh my God. I did not know who I was anymore. And that was so hard. Ugh. And it was hard because in your mind, you're like, I am not this fucking person. Like, this is not me. I am very like, let's go, let's go, let's go. But right now I feel like I can't go anywhere, And so I depended on him, but he didn't really support me in the way he should have. And, and vice versa. I couldn't be what he needed. And that was just toxic energy around that. And that's where I feel like there was that negative codependency. But as on a positive one, I guess one of the positive relationships that I have, or that, that I've had, is my aunt. I give a lot of love to her. Shout out to my tia Velia. I love you so much. Yes, I love her so much. I give her a lot of credit because she really paved the path for me. She went through a lot of the spiritual awakenings first, and
oh, that's awesome to have like someone in your family there, like, support you. And, like,
well, I mean, she went through it, and I think when I finally got the true hang of it, we could finally relate. And I feel like she would be like listening to me, like, yep. And I'm all, and then this happened, and then this happened, and this happened, and she's like, yep. How did you feel? And then we got to the point where she's like, okay, finally, you're finally here. Okay, cool. Now this is where it's at, But, I will say I kind of depended on her, just because I didn't know what spirituality looked like.
Yeah.
And I will admit I was codependent on what it looks like, or, hey, like, what does this sound like? What do you think this dream is? I started asking all those questions, and, thank God for my aunt's heart, because she had the patience with me. But sometimes she'd be like, wake your ass up,
Wake up.
Like, wake up. But,
that's amazing.
It's all out of love.
Yeah, it's amazing to have that. Because I know, like, for my family, we come from like a very Christian background. So for me, like, it's been a journey the last 3 years, like, to show up authentically as myself. Even like when I first started getting into spirituality, I had friends who judged me. And then I finally got comfortable enough to kind of come out to my family a little bit. And I even had to go through the comments like, oh, you're a witch now? Like, what is that? Like, oh, like, you like crystals? Like, and by the way, I'm not a witch, but like anything different other than Christians to them was like, woohoo, woo, like, what's wrong with you? Are you an atheist now? Like, what are you? Like,
El Diablo.
Yes. Like, and it's just been a journey. I feel like now, and it's really hard to show up authentically as yourself, but it's what we're supposed to be doing,
Right.
And so you're very blessed to have had that, because for me, I just had to really be brave. And I had, I did have someone, I had spirit. Source was with me the whole time. It gave me lots of love through it. But it is awesome that you have someone in your family who you kind of relate to. So that's a good blessing. Yeah.
Well, for the most part, I mean, she's gone through all the tribulations, and I think that taught me that I can get through it, and there is a little bit of negative onto it, because little did I know, as I'm going through an awakening, that's intense energy. I went through quite a few spiritual awakenings, even in her home. Like, I was staying with her, and what I didn't realize at the time was when someone's going through an awakening, it's heavy. Like, girl, it is heavy.
Yeah.
And I could tell, like, it knocked her off balance even. Like, she was so sensitive to energy that my energy would knock her down too. I was just so like, I don't know what this is. Like, what is this? And things like that. And I'm learning and I'm growing, that I didn't know where that boundary was. Where's that line where it's like, hey, it's too much,
Yeah.
And even then, like, I can't say, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, for every little thing I was asking questions. No, it's just like I had to sit back and learn and understand that you have to be sensitive to them as well.
Yeah.
Know where they need their space, their time, and things like that. And being that this was a new thing for me and I was learning and all that stuff, like I didn't really understand. And I was going through big transitions, heavy transitions. And it's just like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how heavy it was until that energy was just low. And I felt so bad, and I do appreciate my aunt because she did have the patience for me. Now I'm not codependent, like
Yeah.
I'll call her and we'll have our talks and things like that, but it's not like every single thing like, hey, or this. I think I've evolved enough and transitioned into my, like, I understand it now, I'm good, let me handle it. But I was codependent for a minute, and it's heavy. And then I've seen it where, I think it talked about like addictions, and I've seen it. My dad was definitely codependent on his addiction, and it ultimately became the end of him.
Oh.
And I love him and everything, but that's how bad and how deep and how strong codependency is alone.
Codependency, it's kind of like a trauma in a way. Like it goes through generations, through generations, through generations. And for me, like I've always been very observant. So like even before I started having my own issues growing up, like I would sit back and watch my family members. And like codependency could be food, it can be cigarettes, it could be weed, it could be alcohol, it could be anything that you're just like overindulging in to like numb your emotions. And even people like my mom, she had a problem with like all of it. Actually, my mom like had lots of problems with addiction as well, with drugs, and so did my father. And then so did my mom. Also had it with men growing up too. Every man she dated, they were the center of her world, and a lot of those things get passed down to you. And I know, like for me, I think like growing up wasn't spiritually awake to really pay attention to patterns and
Right.
family histories. And I think when I got into my first relationship, I think I was a senior in high school. I was pretty young. Like all I've ever seen was love crash and burn. I've never seen an example of real, true love. Do you know what I mean? It was always
Right.
because like, oh, we need each other. And that's codependency. Like you have to have this person to survive, and y'all treat each other so badly, but you're not together because you love each other. You're together because, oh, you have kids, or, oh, you can't pay your bills on your own. You know what I'm trying to say?
Girl, I know. That was my last marriage.
See? And so I kind of fell into that pattern too in my first relationship, even in high school. And it was so easy because he gave me what I needed. Like I lacked stability. Like I grew up in a very poor family, and I have this guy interested in me, my child's father. I
Yes.
knew like he's so nice. He's a nice man. He wants to provide. Like he's not bad looking. He's good looking. Like, but I didn't get the intuition feeling like, hey, you're my person. Like we had our son after 3 years to get together. We got engaged. That whole time, like I had like that intuition telling me to leave him. And like it wasn't really like nothing he was doing. It was just like that intuition, gut feeling, this is not my person. But I
Right.
would always justify it. This is where codependency comes in. I would justify it and be like, okay, well, how are you going to afford bills? Because as soon as we started dating, right after high school, he started picking up my bills. He'd be like, oh, no, you're my girlfriend. You don't have to pay your phone bill. Oh, no, you're my girlfriend. Here's money. I'll pay your car payment. Oh, you're my girlfriend. Like, I'll pay this. I'll pay that. Like, oh, I'll get like 3 jobs if I have to pay anything, pay your bills. And I never asked him to. He just took over them. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Some people are
And
going to be listening to this like, Mariah, what you thinking?
well, it's the truth. I'm going to be my authentic self, and it's the truth.
Right.
And if it like hurts to hear, well, don't listen to the podcast.
No, stay here. Listen.
Yeah, but well, I mean, like really, what I know in my personal life, if it hurts to hear, just click it off. This is honest. This is true. This is my truth.
Right.
And so, and I was young, like a lot of that goes into like I've never seen a healthy relationship I didn't really know. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
and that's all I've seen growing up is like, hey, I have family members who stay together only because they have kids or only because they need each other to live. Like they need both of their financial incomes and to pay all their bills. They treat each other so bad. Like they talk so bad about each other. There's no affection between them. There's no love. That's all I knew. So, do you know what I'm trying to say? And so
Yeah.
to me, it's like, well, why not? Like we weren't cold towards each other. We had a great relationship most of the time. It just wasn't, it was lacking that real love, I feel like. So for
Yeah.
me, like I say codependency, for me and my experiences, that was kind of my first experience with it, is that I got like so codependent of him paying things. I wasn't myself because growing up, I grew up in poverty. I've been working since I was 13 or 14. I was paying my own phone bill when I was 14. I guess I got so used to being in survival mode. I had someone come along and be like, hey, let me take you out of survival mode.
Mm.
I even stayed home when we had our first child. I stayed home while I was in college, but I didn't have to pay any bills. And it wasn't toxic. He never like kept money from me. We had a bank account. He was like, oh, here's a card. You can use it like to pay bills or like if you need, I never had to ask for money either. And then like we didn't have enough, he would just make more money. So like I was saying, so if I wanted something or needed something, he would pay for it. And for our kid too, like we were a family. We got
Right.
engaged. But like I said, that intuition feeling was always there. And we had our own issues too. We weren't ever toxic towards each other. If anything, maybe I was toxic because I like grew a resentment that I didn't love him the way I was supposed to. Does that make sense? Like my
Yeah.
subconscious was like, you're not actually in love with this person. If that makes sense, I had lots of love for him. Oh, he still is the father of my child. He's still involved. But I was just never in love from day one. And, you know, I've forgiven myself for that. If I told him to, because we both weren't perfect. Like, it wasn't just me. It wasn't like he was madly in love with me. Like, him himself, he could always feel that. And it made him, like, go out and, you know, he would cheat. I didn't know about it.
Ooh.
But when I found out, it kind of gave me the excuse to go with my instincts that I always had it there. Like, hey, this is not your person. I finally just, this is before my spiritual awakening, so I don't know how Source has always just been pulling me this way, if that makes sense. And Source was like, you gotta go. You have to leave. I decided like, I'm leaving. It gave me the excuse to leave. I don't know. I just wanted to say codependency can show up in lots of different ways, but I want to say like, really examine your childhood and take time for yourself. If you have to journal, meditate, it's so
Yes.
important to tap into yourself, figure out what patterns are you having from people you saw, like growing
Yes.
up. Because I
Yes.
didn't even know it was a pattern. I really like this took years. This wasn't all after I left him. Like I left, yes, I left, but I didn't even know the reason why I really left until I reflected back on those years.
Right.
If
Well,
that makes sense.
oh, it makes 100% sense. And
No.
I'll tell you why, because that was, that's pretty much like my last marriage, you know, and I refer to my last marriage a lot because I was codependent just as much as he was, you know, and
Yeah.
it was like, again, toxic. And I think it got to that point where one of the things we always told each other was the day you fall out of love for me, let me know. And I remember I was driving home from work and I was sitting there like just staring at this, you know, road. And I'm just like, I'm not in love. But like I knew that from the beginning. I knew it from the
Yeah.
beginning because I allowed it, you know, and I think that's the biggest pill to swallow. Even the way we met was toxic, but I think it's because I also saw a lot of toxicity growing up. I think the only
Neat.
good relationship I ever seen was my grandparents. And it's just because they were together, they've honored each other a lot. But I really didn't see my grandpa, I could see him be so lovey-dovey on my grandmother, but my grandmother wasn't like lovey-dovey back. She was more like cold a little bit, you know, and that's harsh, but it's the truth. But I always saw my grandpa like he brought a rose every weekend, like, and not just for her, but like for his granddaughters, because my grandpa pretty much raised us.
Mhm.
He's my dad, you know. I like to say all the time that my grandpa's my dad, but even him, when I introduced him to my ex-husband, like I feel like my grandpa got this like, like this isn't this is not for you. But he still, pulled him to the side and talked to him and things like that, and was like, hey, don't hurt my granddaughter, all these other things. But I think it's because my grandpa understood, like, he was very protective of us, and especially his granddaughters, and it's because I have only seen toxic relationships. And I think that's why we were addicted to the drama. We were addicted to all those things. But
the drama, that's really important what you just said. A lot of codependent relationships, it's like you're addicted to the drama.
Yes. And it's true. Like, a lot of codependency is off of that trauma bond and the addiction to it, because it's almost like that adrenaline, like, I'm gonna have the last word. And see, and I was very like, I am going to have the last word, and almost every time I did. Okay, I didn't calm my ego down. But I did, though. But I did. And he could tell you. He would even say, like, oh, I hate arguing with you. And I would be like, why? He's like, because you're always right. Like, you're sitting there. He's like, it's like you sit there and observe me, and then you use that against me. And he was the same way, though. Like, I couldn't tell him anything because I knew he was going to use it against me one day. He may be like, oh, I'm here for you. I'm listening. Just taking notes, like, now I'm going to use this. But even in this new relationship that I'm in is so beautiful because I finally learned my damn lesson. Okay.
I'm so happy for you, by the way, because that's like, it's a milestone when you get that, because that means like university is something good because you've been doing the healing.
Yes. And really did. I do feel, I don't know, I want to say a healthier codependency, I guess, because it's more healthier. My partner, he's like my best friend. He's just that person that I can rely on to take care of me. He allows me to be me, and then he helps me evolve. I won't even call it codependency. I think we depend on each other. Yeah. We just depend on each other positively versus negatively. And like I said, my ex relationship was so negative, and I don't want to spew so much negative on it because there were beautiful moments. And I do understand you when you said, like, I knew I wasn't in love, but I do care. Like, you care for them. I do care for him even. And nowadays, like, I want him to be good at all times, because then that means when my daughter is with him, she's good. If he's good, she's good. And I'm just glad that I'm no longer in that codependent relationship. When I left, I felt like the bird, free bird, like that cage was gone. I was flying away. Yes.
My journey, I will say, I like the ending of yours. Mine was a lot different, I want to say. I barely, even though I've been going through a spiritual awakening for 3 years, I barely am healing that codependency because I didn't see it. Like I said, I didn't even know. So I left him and I took some time for myself. I dated a lot because he was my first high school boyfriend. So after we ended, I was done with college. I got on the dating apps, dated almost, I didn't want a boyfriend after that. I was done. I went on so many dates. I was just doing my own thing for about a year and a half. And I even would run away if men were like, oh, I want to see you again. Like, I'd be like, no, no, no. And in the toxic ones, I would be like, oh, come back. Like, you see that toxic thing? The drama. Oh, then I would want the ones who gave me the drama, the ones who would treat me badly and ignore me. So I've done a lot of healing because now that type of energy doesn't attract me because my frequency is getting higher and higher as I heal. And I don't want that no more. Like, now when a man does that or ignores me or like even tries to like gives me attitude, I don't want you. You're not my person.
I'm out. That's it.
Yeah. It's not to say that people can't make mistakes. Like, yes, people make lots of mistakes, but like when you're starting something with someone, that if someone does that immediately when you meet them and they're disrespecting you and they're treating you less than, I used to get attracted to. I don't know why. I used to loved men who treated me bad. And now I'm just like, oh no, like I don't want that energy around me. Like, I want to be treated like a princess, like a queen, like soft energy, like loving energy. Like, my journey's been a little rough, but I'm happy I finally got to where I am now. Because if I didn't have all those bad experiences, maybe I would not know what a soft love is. Like, you know, a no
Yeah.
drama love.
I hear you. My aunt once told, but she told me, she's like, look, you've got taste of what you don't need and a taste of what it feels like to be desired. So now you have to find that balance. And you do, because it's all about a balance. You need someone that's going to tell you when you're wrong,
Yeah.
but you also need that person to be your biggest supporter, you know, not in a toxic way. And, you know, I think due to the fact that, you know, we both grew up through similar traumas, you and I think that's why we resonate so much. I can sit back and see where that went into play and why my life took the course that it took. Now I don't allow myself to get there. I don't even allow, if I feel like I'm getting there, like spiritually, like my body is just like, no, bro. Like I even get physically sick. Like I will have the flu or something. Like my body now tells me like, no, you can't do that. I think it's due to the fact of those traumas. I just feel like it's time to evolve. I do want to find that perfect balance between femininity and masculinity, because you need both to like strive. And right now I do need to find that masculine, like go getting energy, you know? And that's where I'm at right now. I just remember being that kid, like the one usually pushing for my parents to be better. Like I had a toxic relationship even with my mother. She was a single mom of 4 kids, and it was hard. It was harsh. There was a lot of decisions that she made that affected. And being that I saw those decisions being made and things like that, like I told myself I was going to be a single mother at a young age. I just knew it. I just knew I was going to be. And that's even toxic because I'm relying on that trauma. I'm relying on all of that. And you know, being a now generational cycle breaker, you know, I don't want that for my daughter. I'm starting to see the true light on that path, and I'm walking down it, and it's great. It's amazing, but it has taken time and it has evolved.
You don't realize the patterns that are set there in your subconscious from a child. Like I was one of the oldest, me and my sister, we waited to our 20s to have kids. We were the oldest females in our families that I know that had kids, and everyone else had kids before they were 20. Every single woman at our generational life, they all had children before they were 20. So we kind of are curse breakers. We had kids after we were 20, a little bit more developmentally ready, but we did not choose great partners. Like we didn't choose our forever partners. We didn't know what healthy relationships looked like. We didn't know what to do. Like no one ever sat down with us and said, hey, this is the type of man you should choose to have a child with. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, like my child's father is a great father, but it goes back to like, we were never really supposed to be together. So we have different morals. We have different ways, like we want to raise our child. You know what I'm trying to say? We're not.
Right. No, I get you on that part because my daughter's father is very like, we don't celebrate this and this and that's fine. You don't celebrate it. That's fine. But she gonna celebrate it with me. Like, okay, that's cool. Get that. And I think due to the fact that we have young parents, because even my parents were young when they had me, I do feel like a lot of that reflected in my relationships too. I've had a few relationships where like it was toxic, girl, and like did the whole try to do Bonnie and Clyde. And
can we talk about that for a second? No. Bonnie and Clyde, everyone hypes up Bonnie and Clyde. Bad for each other. They robbed banks together.
That's so toxic. I see a lot of people like, oh, we're Bonnie and Clyde. And I'm just like, no.
I'm not going to lie. I used to want the Bonnie and Clyde relationship because I used to love toxicity. I used to love being a little toxic man. He would give me a little sass, give me a little attitude, treat me a little bad. Like, you got me.
Yep. Now you're like, no, get away. No, but you know, I did that. You know, one, my parents were like the Bonnie and Clyde as well too. Like doing dumb shit. They know. I had this like harsh lesson that I had to learn, and universe was like, okay, you don't want to learn it. All right, doom, 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 doom. Keep going until you realize it. It's like universe is gonna keep giving you these lessons unless you learn them. And the good thing is that I learned that lesson once. I did not do that shit again. Hell no.
My ancestors and spirit guides about this whole toxic men thing. I went on a 2-year binge. Girl. Like, I wasn't getting it. I didn't understand. I was like, I'm fine. I was so stubborn. I'm fine.
Well, I found toxicity differently, but I went through that little phase quickly, and I was in and out.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I'm just like, but some people don't. Some people are still in it, and I see and I feel, and I think I feel the difference. Like, if you're in this relationship, look, I'm just saying this out of love, okay? It's no longer the 90s, okay? Let's throw that in there. Because that, I feel like a lot of that came from the 90s vibe.
The song.
Yes. the song. Okay, think back to that time. The music was always about getting the young girl. She's this new hot thing. But then, like, the guy's always doing fucked up shit. Like, what? And they can sit here and be like, oh, I love you. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people fell for the I love you. Oh, I'll die for you. Like, no, like now I'm like, no, are you going to live for me? Like, you know, crazy Joker shit.
I like that. You're going to live.
Don't die for me. Live for me, you know, and push me to live my life.
But with me. Yeah.
Evolve. Let's evolve. But, you know, a lot of people became codependent on that. And I think a lot of them were also just learning. Like, and if you see how things have evolved throughout the years, like, okay, guys went from courting women to then like not courting them at all and just saying little nice words here and there, and then boom, you got the girl, but then you didn't even know how to treat the girl. Here you go with this fine china, and you don't even know how to fucking hold it, you know? And then once the fine china broke, like, oh, it's chaos in your household. You have children together. Now your children are suffering through this, and now they're doing that. And now we're in a time frame where like people are like, no, like we don't need this. And you can see the difference of people that are stuck there and people that have evolved. And it's almost like two energies, and you can like literally zoom out and see it. And it's just so crazy to see it, because I feel like I can see it clear as day. I can look at a couple and be like, oh, they're on that ghetto shit.
Same.
Or I can look at another couple and be like, oh, they really love each other. Like, they're really gonna, you know.
I can see it. Like, I can literally even see it like in reality TV stars. Like, there's this one couple I love. It's like, I think her main name is like Molly, Tommy Fury. Oh my God. I just see the love. It's like you can see the auras around them, and you can see the love for each other, you know?
Oh my gosh. I follow this couple on Facebook, and I followed them throughout the years and everything, and I fucking love them. Their handle is Paul and Jen, and they do makeup together, you know. And it's like you can just see the support from one another and the love between each other, and the fact that like Paul is secured within himself. Jen, the way she like protects him and the way he protects her, and they're doing this in social media, like in front of thousands of people, but like you could just see the genuine love they have for one another, and they joke around. They have this good vibe. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. I love them. They do their lives, and you know, they're just fun. Just being able to see that like them support each other is so healthy, you know, and I love that. But you know, there are toxic energies, like, and some of them are famous, and they're like showing people like, oh, this is okay, and it's not okay.
Me and you talk about the Kardashians a lot, and we get inspired from those characters all the time. My favorite is like, I love Courtney, and then second is Kim. Like, I feel like I have Kim's drive for entrepreneurship, but then Courtney's healing phase.
Yes.
I'm like a mixture of both. So,
yes, that's how I feel too. Like, and I'm Chloe's like, I don't care, I'm gonna say it, you know, it might hurt your feelings, but I need to say it.
I wanted to mention this specifically. If you are a Kardashian fan, I look at how Courtney took forever to leave Scott. You see all the years it took, and she was codependent on him.
The same way he was codependent on her.
Oh, yeah. He was too. Yeah, you're right. It was a 2-player game. I just love that example because, like, she went to therapy. She did the healing. She did the hard work. She got judged by her whole family for changing frequency. That's a good example. She changed frequency. And now, like, she attracted Travis, and people judge them all the time because people don't like to look at other healed people and they project onto them a lot. I just see so much love between them. It makes my heart warm. Yeah.
Me too. And it's not their fault why they're annoyed by it. It's just they're not in the right frequency, and it's bothering their frequency seeing that.
Yes.
And it's okay. You need to take that self-reflection. Instead of projecting, you need to take insight, see where you are bothered by it and why you're bothered by it, you know? And I think in general, you know, just to kind of wrap this episode up of codependency, look within yourself. Notice your patterns, see what's working for you, see what's not, and heal, because that's the only way you can. And healing can be in all forms, and do something that's not gonna cause you to project on others. See what you can find that will help you and pour back into yourself and others, because we sit back and be like judging people all day. You're not growing with that. You're hurting yourself in the long run, because then you become such a low vibration that nobody wants to be around. And you gotta understand, in this time, in this world, this current phase of the world, we're done allowing toxic energy. We're done allowing low vibrational people to be around us. And if you need help with doing that, like, resources out there, just understand where you see that you have codependency and understand it. And if you can evolve from it, go for it.
Yes, you can evolve. We're going to manifest it. We're going to speak it out into existence. You can evolve. You can change. You don't have to be what other people want you to be. You get to be what you know you are.
Thank you once again to our listeners for listening and vibing with us and sitting here and, you know, just kind of hearing our thoughts about codependency. As always, just be sure to subscribe to all of our platforms. We will be releasing more episodes. Just subscribe to all of our channels and join our Patreon for $6 a month for extra episodes and more. We want to hear from you guys. What are you getting out of our content or not? You know, we want to hear everything. You know, we're open to hearing. Let's talk about it. Let's make discussion. Join our tribe. We would love to have you.
I would love for us to have a name for our collective and for our soul tribe, whoever feels aligned with us. So as Moni said, please go subscribe to our Instagram channel, and we are going to have a poll for what you guys want to be called. You know, Beyonce has her beehive. I don't think we could take beehive. We'll have a few options. If y'all have suggestions, DM us. We are open to hear it. Yeah.
Yes. So go check it out. And as always, stay tuned, stay protected. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.